Chapter 1. You are listening at famvetv.info. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios Yunjing No. 1. The bedroom door was ajar. Ning Qing stood at the door and heard a different sound. She raised her hand expressionlessly and pushed the door. When she saw her, the woman who had just straightened her dress was first frightened and then bashfully said, "Miss Ning." Ning Qing's bright eyes moved as she glanced at her. It was difficult not to be moved by the woman's perfect figure. Then, her gaze fell on the man who had just come out of the bathroom. The scene froze, the woman was flustered and hesitated. "Miss Ning, enough." Ning Qing interrupted her and handed her the bank card she had prepared beforehand. There was no change in her palm-sized face. "It's none of your business. You can leave." "Okay." The woman took the card and hurried past her. Ning Qing looked at Nian calmly. The room was dark. He was hidden in the darkness, so no one could see his expression. She turned on the light and walked to the window in front of him. She pushed the window open to scatter the nauseating smell in the air. The room was quiet and peaceful. Other than the chaos on the bed, no one could tell that they had just had a passionate relationship. Nian walked past her. The smell of shower gel rushed into her nostrils. It was cold and pleasant. Ning Qing stared at him and narrowed her eyes. "Do you have time? I want to talk to you." Nian was one of the top big bosses in Yen City and even the entire country. The Nian family he came from dabbled in various industries. It could be said that the Nian family occupied more than half of the country's commercial territory in the southeast region. And he was the first successor to this commercial kingdom. Coupled with his looks that were comparable to those of the top male idols in the entertainment industry, it could be said that he was a charming prince, charming who could shake the business world of the south-east region and pile up women with a word. He was such a handsome and perfect man, but he was her husband of 2 years, and she did not know him at all. Nian walked to the wine cabinet and stopped. He poured a cup of strong wine and took a sip. He asked emotionlessly, "What is it?" Ning Qing walked to the sofa and sat down. She said seriously, "It's very important." Nian walked over with a wine glass in hand. His long phoenixes glanced at the document on the table. On the piece of paper was the words, "Divorce Agreement." He frowned and asked the obvious, "What are we talking about?" "As you can see, I want a divorce." "Why?" Looking at the man sitting on the sofa, Ning Qing's lips were filled with self-deprecation. His tone was cold and emotionless. There was no change in his expression. "Even if he was unhappy, you're with another woman in our marriage." The light above him blurred his handsome face. He raised his head and finished the wine in one gulp, his thin lips curling into a cold smile. "Didn't you ask that woman to come here because you want me to do this?" "I'm just helping you." When Ning Qing was exposed by him, the color in her face quickly faded. "You don't love me, and I don't love you either. We don't have any feelings for each other. How can such a marriage continue? Why not?" The man's voice was low and hoarse, with a coldness that kept people at a distance. "You've been lying in bed for so long. Didn't you also become my wife for 2 years?" Ning Qing clenched her fists, her nails digging into her flesh. The pain made her control her emotions. "We're just husband and wife in name. If you came in earlier, it wouldn't just be in name." Nian lit a cigarette. His deep and cold eyes were covered by the white mist, making him difficult to see through. Under his cold gaze, Ning Qing knew that she almost had no chance of winning, but she was unwilling. She suppressed her trembling and looked at him. "I found something in your study." Listen to the full novel at famvetv.info, direct link in the description.